Go.
Hey Vanessa, you were talking about what to cook in the old Dutch oven, and thought about that yesterday, and I'm going to do some beef shanks and basically make a, not an osso buco, but more of a beef shank cacciatore, if you will. Going to braise these up with some beans that we've got soaking here, some white Great Northern beans, and some veggies. Slow cook it in the Dutch oven, and call it dinner. Fry these up in a little bit of ground nut oil. That's a sophisticated term for peanut oil. And this is hot enough to... Okay, I'm taking this, these shanks have this connective tissue on the outside of them and inside here. I'm just going to put slices around here. What happens is this connective tissue, once it's exposed to high heat, starts to constrict, and it'll distort the shape of the shank. So if you cut these little slits in here, it allows the meat to spread out and absorb all the liquid, and it keeps its shape much better and less distorted, and cooks more evenly than if you didn't cut that. Then I'm going to bread it with, or just put a little flour on it, and season it with some salt and pepper. Put it in the Dutch oven and brown them off. Then I'm going to remove them, let them rest for a little bit while I cook up a little veggies, and throw the beans in there. Let the beans cook on a hard boil for 15 minutes or so. I'm going to reduce everything to a simmer, put the meat back in along with all the rest of the veggies, and we'll cook it all up.
What are you doing right now?
I'm just putting a little seasoned flour on here. I've made the little slits in this to keep everything from
What's in your seasoning?
collapsing.
What seasoning did you put in?
It's just flour, a little bit of pepper. That's about it. A little salt and pepper, and calling it good.
And then you're browning this?
Yep, it's tough meat, but when cooked and braised very slowly, stewed or braised, it just literally falls off the bone, super tender. This will make 4 meals for us. Add in the veggies and the other stuff. We're probably looking at $15, $16. That's $4 per meal. How do you argue with that? And have something nutritious that tastes extremely good. You go to Burger King, get a Whopper fries and a Coke, and it's $6.50, and you get junk. Here you get a homemade cooked meal for $4, $5. Normally made with carrots, celery, and onions, but I didn't have any carrots or celery, so I did have bok choy, did have yu choy, also known as choy sum, red onions and shiitake mushrooms sitting there, so I'm going to use those up. Probably put some olives or something else. I got some garlic going here, and who knows what else I might find. We're just trying to get a little color on these guys here, not really cook them up per se. Not looking good. Tons of marrow inside these bones here. Just give this a little quick saute to get everything going. Garlic in later.
What's the other one you put in?
Oh, whatever I got. A little basil, a little thyme. Actually, I had a little bit of sage, just a very tiny bit.
Did you put pepper, salt?
Oh yeah, salt and pepper. 4 cloves of garlic.
It smells good. You put in how many cups of water?
Oh, 6, something like that. Bring this up to a boil so we can put the beans in it. And then later I'll put the chopped tomatoes and crushed tomatoes and...
Do you need the fire up?
Yeah.
Okay. How many?
I'm going to let it boil until it comes up to a boil. And then I'm going to add the beans in and let that go at a hard boil for 15-20 minutes or so. And then we'll reduce everything down to a simmer. We'll throw in the tomatoes and we'll reintroduce the meat into it. Have this down to a very low simmer and let it simmer.
Do you wait until the beans are tender before you put the meat in?
No, no. It's going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours for the meat to completely get tender through the stewing process, and it takes about that long for the beans to cook. So yeah, by the time it's all done, it should be done about the same time. Got that up to a nice hard boil. Dump in the beans. That might require a little bit more water. It'll be fine for now. Well, it's been boiling pretty hard for a while now, 15-20 minutes. I think that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and add the tomatoes, some salsa, maybe a little... Here's, I'll just lower this temp down. Add in the tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Chop these up. I forgot to put the wine in there earlier. I was going to put some wine in that, but oh well. Looks like it's got plenty of liquid in it. Just a couple shots of this just for fun. Throw in my always secret ingredient, salsa. Reintroduce. I went and cut some of that connective tissue off and excess fat off of here. Found it's much easier to do once you cook this a little bit. So I should get that submerged. Now we'll just put this onto a slow simmer. Forget about it for a couple of hours and let it do its thing. Let the Dutch oven do the cooking, so to speak. Get this back up to a simmer. Put the lid on. And forget about it for a while. Stir it every once in a while. These tomatoes chopped up a little bit better. Stirring everything up and get everything turned over. This is going to be good. It's stewing along very slowly.
I got the bone marrow, is it?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of marrow in there.
Yeah.
It's still tough. It's going to take a little while. That connective tissue is still working its way down. We're starting to that was just connective tissue. This needs to simmer, not boil, but just simmer. Ouch. It's really thickened up a lot now. Oh yeah, beans are starting to soften up.
It's too hot?
Yeah, it's boiling instead of simmering.
Yeah, because it's close. Even though the
No,
fire is really low.
Well, it's as low as you can get.
Yeah, but it's... You put the lid on so that instead of simmering, it's just...
No, it's a simmer, but it's a harder simmer than I would have wanted. Look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. I can cut this now with a wooden... Look at that, that just cuts right off. So that really dense, tough piece of meat is now just wooden spoon or wooden spatula, tender. Beans are starting to come apart. Well, needs a little time. Well, it's been a couple of hours now, and the juice is thickened up. The beans are tender. The meat is now literally falling off the bone. In fact, it's fallen off of several bones here. I can just take this with just nothing more than a dull wooden spatula and cut it. Shiitakes are nice and look at that, just fell right off, completely fell right off the bone. Nice and tender. Ready for dinner. Yay, I'm hungry. Let's eat. Whoops. Fell literally right off the bone. I'm just going to mouse.
You eat it with that sourdough bread?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to call it dinner.